Hello friends, today we will talk about American Revolution. American Revolution is a very important topic for civil service examination. सिविल सर्विस में हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल में भी ये बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है और जीएस के लिए भी ये बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है. तो अगर आप लास्ट ईयर के क्वेश्चंस को देखें तो आप पता लगेगा कि अमेरिकन रेवोल्यूशन पे जो क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है वो सबसे ज़्यादा इसके कॉजेज़ के बारे में ही क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है. सो what were the causes of American Revolution? So we have several points, and point number one is defective administration. The administrative system of England in the American colonies was defective. Each colony had its assembly and the elected members, but the nominated governor to each colony by the British Parliament became intolerable on the part of colonists. Many times conflicts between the governor and the elected representative of different colonies became inevitable. The governor did not do anything without the permission of British Parliament. Thus, the administrative system of each colony was controlled by the British Parliament. The British Parliament did not recognize the colonial problem. Thus, the colonists became intolerable and raised their voice against the defective administrative system of England. Second point, we have restrictions on colonial trade. The British government regulated the colonial trade for her own advantage. The Navigation Act, which was passed in 1660, was again practiced by George Grenville, the Prime Minister of England. Before this act, the colonists accepted the manufactured goods of England only by exporting the raw material to England. But when the Navigation Act was reintroduced, the American were forbidden to export their native products directly to other European countries. They could import their necessary goods only through England from other countries. The British government imposed taxes on the American colonies. In order to impose more taxes on colonial imports, the British Parliament strengthened the Molasses Act, in another word you can say Sugar Act, which was originally passed in 1773 by the British Parliament. By this act, the American colonies were permitted to import molasses only from the British West Indies. It annoyed the colonists and they became revolutionary. Third point, we have influence of 7-Year War. 7-Year War, right. So 7-Year War, which was started in 56, it means we are talking about 18th century. So the date is 1756, and ended in 1763, had an impact on the American colonies. By defeating France, England occupied Canada. The Americans were freed from the French menace. This enabled the people to stand by themselves. They did not feel the necessity of maintaining the British Army at their own expenses. After this, after this 7-Year War, the American colonies began to be revolutionary. Point number 4, we have the role of writer and philosopher. which is very important point. The writer and philosopher played an important role in American War of Independence. Uh, First scholar we have Tom Paine. Tom Paine. Tom Paine, through his writing, Common Sense, inspired the American to raise their voice against the British government. Second scholar we have Samuel Adam. Samuel Adam, another writer who inspired the American. Beside this, there are many scholars like Locke, Rousseau, Adam Smith, and Milton. So they created awareness among the American, and they raised their voice against British administrative system. Point number 5th, we have the Stamp Act of 65. It means 1765. To meet the additional expenditure of the standing army in American colonies, England decided that American colonies should bear that expenses. So George Grenville, the Prime Minister during the reign of George III, passed the Stamp Act in 1765. The act directed that in American colonies, the government papers, legal documents, receipts should be written or printed on stamp paper. The tax which was collected from this stamp was to be used for the expenditure of the standing army in America. It created a storm in America. They destroyed the stamp papers and they raised the slogan that no taxation without representation. And next point is the Declaratory Act of 1766. The Stamp Act made Grenville unpopular and he was dismissed. Rockingham succeeded him. He passed the Declaratory Act in 1766. It repealed the Stamp Act. It declared that the mother country had the right to impose taxes on the colonies. This created a storm among the American and they become revolutionary. So we have next point, Townshend's policy. Townshend, the Chancellor of Exchequer in Pitt, the elder ministry, revived the policy of Grenville. He imposed duty on tea, glass, lead, paper and color imported into the American colonies. This gave a serious setback to the colonists and they became rebellious. They boycotted the trade relationship with England. Lord North measures is next point. Then we have Lord North's policies. So then the Lord North, the Prime Minister of England, abolished duty on glass, lead and paper act, but retained on tea. This annoyed the colonists. In 1770, when a company of British soldiers were marching through the street of Boston, the American showered on them snowballs. Being insulted, the soldier fired on them and killed 5 Americans, which was known as a Boston Massacre. It's a very important point. And next we have the Boston Tea Party. In 1773, Lord North introduced a new Tea Act, and allowed the East India Company to sell tea directly in America. It created severe reaction among the Americans. The agitator in Boston formed the Boston Tea Party. Yeah, it's a very important group. The chief motive of this party was to resist the East India Company to sell tea in America. The first cargo of tea sent by East India Company arrived at Boston on 16 December 1773 under the leadership of Samuel Adams. Some agitators of Boston Tea Party entered into the ship of disguise of Red Indian and threw 343 boxes of tea into the sea. This event was famous as a Boston Tea Riots. Out of anger, Lord North passed Boston Port Act in 1774 and the port was closed. This incident gave an impetus to American War of Independence. Next point we have the last point. Of course, it's the last point. The Declaration of Independence. On 4 July 1776, the 13 American colonies met at Philadelphia on the second time. A paper was drafted by Thomas Jefferson and his Declaration of Independence was unanimously accepted in the Congress by 13 American colonies. This historic document proclaimed the cause of revolt. So in the conclusion, we can say that effective administrative system, policies and international incidents like Civil War were responsible for the American Revolution. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you so much.